Houston, we have a problem.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism back with another video for you today. Gonna talk about Elon Musk and his subsidy-grabbing fraud company who fakes everything from launches, satellite deployments, orbits, and of course, landings. So to start, not sure if you've seen this video by ScienceNet named 7 times Elon Musk went next level genius. Now you'd expect some amazing eye-opening revelations or some game-changing perspectives, and let's just say they're not there. He comes across as a high school student who's basically just rambling. So we decided to spruce it up a little. And I did need to say one other thing. I did say that everything that Elon Musk puts out is fake, and I forgot that's everything but his toupee. Unfortunately, that won't get him to Mars. Neither will lies or taxpayers' money. But it will get him a spot on Next Level Genius, the Jeranism way. Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next Level Genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. In Love with Edison for some strange reason guy.
Mr. In Love with Edison for some strange reason guy.
As far as role models,
Pick anybody but yourself, please.
there's obviously some of the obvious role models. I think Edison was certainly a role model. Probably one of the biggest role models.
Did you study his life?
Yeah, I read books about him. Absolutely.
Sure you did, you little liar.
And it's an interesting contrast, like Edison versus Tesla, because interesting, the car company is called Tesla. And the reason it's called Tesla is because we use an AC induction motor, which is an architecture that Tesla developed. And the guy probably deserves a little more play than he gets in current society. But on balance, I'm a bigger fan of Edison than Tesla. Because Edison brought his stuff to market and made those inventions accessible to the world, whereas Tesla didn't really do that.
You like him because he sold out.
So he'd certainly be a big one. I think the great technologists, Steve Jobs at Apple, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. He wants to depopulate the world with vaccines. I would choose another one.
I actually thought Disney was a pretty good innovator.
Oh, great, a Freemason. Thank you, Mr. I Love Edison for some strange reason guy.
And so let's start with some SpaceX nonsense. This is the CRS-10 that was landing, and I just wanted to point out a few things. First, I love the plastic fins that somehow survived the re-entry into the atmosphere. And if you take a look at the picture on the right, you can see it's dark and gloomy and gray, and then in a second there you got blue skies and white clouds. And you can see there as it lands, somehow we're supposed to believe that those fins can steer a rocket that weighs 20,000 pounds as it falls back to Earth. I also find this part funny. Look at the thrusters there on the top. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're the steering mechanism, and you'll see them squirting right now for no reason. The rocket's already landed. I guess it's kind of like a showing off thing. I don't know, looks pretty CGI to me. And I'm not the only one. Actually, somebody asked Elon Musk on Twitter recently, is there a reason that most of the landings appear to have been at night so far? And Elon Musk responded, it's much easier to do the CGI that way. So of course everyone rushed to say how much he was kidding. Everyone, of course, except Elon Musk. And again, I'll remind you, as I always do, to do your own research, make up your own mind. By the end of this video, if you still believe in SpaceX, more power to you. I guess that propels you up into the next level, like next level genius. Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next Level Genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Impress the Asian with our subpar math skills.
Mr. Impress the Asian with our subpar math skills.
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100 hour weeks every week.
Where do you find time to be a dirtbag?
And then all those things improve the odds of success.
The weakest attempt to get into a girl's pants that I've ever seen.
I mean, if other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then you're doing the same thing. You know that in 1 year you will achieve what they achieve. You will achieve.
Math is has never
in
been my
4
forte.
months what it takes them a year.
Thank
to
you,
achieve.
mister, you didn't impress anyone with your math skills guy.
And up next, we have Mr. Next Level Genius himself. Pay attention, he doesn't know he's going live to begin. And when he leaves, it's pretty funny as well. Enjoy.
3, 2, 1, you're live.
All right, well, we just had an incredible day today. The first reflight of an orbital class booster did its mission perfectly, dropped off the second stage, came back and landed on the drone ship right in the bullseye. It's an amazing day, I think, for space as a whole, for the space industry. It means you can fly and refly an orbit class booster, which is the most expensive part of the rocket. This is going to be ultimately a huge revolution in spaceflight. It's the difference between if you had airplanes where you threw away an airplane after every flight versus you could reuse them multiple times. So it's been 15 years to get to this point. It's taken us a long time. A lot of difficult steps along the way, but I'm just incredibly proud of the SpaceX team for being able to achieve this I think, incredible milestone in the history of space. Yeah, I'm sort of at a loss for words, but it's really a great day, not just for SpaceX, but for the space industry as a whole, and proving that something can be done that many people said was impossible. Thank you.
Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next level genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Cliche saying, overly repeating guy.
Mr. Cliche saying and over repeating guy.
Well, it's like the Nike slogan, just do it.
That was super original.
Just showing up is half the battle. Just, you got to try hard to do it, and don't be afraid of failure.
Ooh.
You also need to be rooted in reality. So you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's easy to get high in your own supply.
Smoke one if you got 'em.
As Scarface said. You've got to
Can I get an amen?
not be afraid to innovate, but also don't delude yourself into thinking something's working when it's not, or you're going to get fixated on a bad solution.
6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, and I think also just don't be afraid of new arenas. You can get a book, you can learn something, and experiment with your hands and
Better late than never.
make it happen. Find a way or make a way to get
Hindsight's
something done.
2020. Money makes the world go round. Boys will be boys. All is fair in love and beggars can't be choosers. So instead he wins a race. Words of wisdom from Mr. Cliche saying and over repeating guy.
So, believe what you want, but next time when SpaceX does another magic trick, maybe you'll think back and say, Jaron told me so. Because it certainly seems like something's up with these landings. There's no reason why we should lose the video feed every time just at the second that the rocket hits the barge. So, till next time. Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next level genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Boring as Hell, stater of the absolute obvious guy.
Mr. Boring as hell and stater of the obvious guy.
Well, I mean, those are pretty different personalities, between Gates and Jobs and Ellison. I think all three of those were technologists, but with different types of skills.
Can I get a pillow?
Jobs was obviously very good with aesthetics, he understood technology, of course, and he really understood what people wanted even when they didn't know themselves.
Crickets, crickets,
He
crickets.
was not afraid to break boundaries, but Gates would probably be better at
I'm so bored to
sort of
death.
raw engineering and technology than Jobs, but not as good on aesthetics.
I'm really damn close to blowing my head off.
But I mean, for all of these guys, they're obviously very driven, and they're very talented, and they're able to attract great people to build a
I'd
company.
rather be on my period.
But I mean, The ability to attract and motivate great people is critical to the success of a company, because a company is just
about to prove gravity and jump out this
that are assembled
window.
to create a product or service. That's the purpose of a company.
And I owe it all to Mr. Boring as Helen Stater of the obvious guy.
Okay, let's think this out now. We're looking at an animation of the globe from SpaceX, and I really think that we need to logically kind of hash this out, so bear with me. They say to get into orbit, you have to be going 17,500 miles per hour. Okay. Now, anyone know how fast a normal bullet is? Well, a very fast bullet would be 2,000 miles per hour, so let's take that. So, at 2,000 miles per hour, how far do you think a bullet would travel in 1 second? Would it be a football field? How about 4 football fields? It's actually 10. So the answer is 10 football fields in 1 second with a 2,000 mile per hour bullet. So now this is where we can prove NASA, SpaceX, and fanboys are a little bit insane. Think about it. A rocket, and we're talking just a regular rocket going into orbit at 17,500 miles per hour. How many football fields do you think that rocket could go in 1 second? 40 football fields? 80 football fields? The correct answer is 86 football fields in 1 second. Really think about that for a second, and you might come to the same conclusion I have. And that conclusion is, and it's, let me see how I can say this nicely, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, there's no way I can believe that. I feel like I'm being taken for a hoax. Just think about it. Do you really think a rocket with some jet fuel flying out the back can move a huge, heavy metal contraption at a speed of 86 football fields in 1 second? Well, if you believe in space travel, and you believe in orbits, and you believe in satellites, and you believe in SpaceX, and you believe in NASA and JAXA, Roscosmos, then you absolutely believe that there's a way that we can move crafts that fast. To me, I just don't see it. Think about everything else that we see traveling at certain speeds. To me, I'm just not buying it. To me, when I watch the shuttle or a rocket take off, it seems to be crawling into the sky like a helium balloon. It is not moving at 86 football fields per second. And then I see it disappear off into the distance, basically no different than an airplane. Granted, an airplane goes level to the ground, plane, and a rocket is an attempt to lie to your face, so it's launched way up high in the sky and it kind of creates a parabola. And you can believe whatever you want, and I'll believe whatever I want. But what it comes down to is I certainly can't see ever believing in that until it's shown proof. And if you think that this is going into space at 17,500 miles per hour, good for you. SpaceX is hiring. I, on the other hand, am not. Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next level genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. United States ass kisser and extreme Novo Riche guy.
Mr. U.S. ass kisser and nobody guy.
The United States is more open to new ideas than any country in the world. And,
Prepare yourself for genius.
and I think it's becomes somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, in that because the United States is open to new ideas, it attracted people from around the world who had new ideas. And so it becomes, so now it's filled with people who like new ideas. So most countries, that's not their reaction. People tend to think, oh, that person did well because they screwed somebody else.
Or they go in fake
or
space.
They try to rise beyond their station. That was really inappropriate of them to be so nouveau riche, to use a French word.
If only you wouldn't have taken the government money, then you would be no rich. Thank you, Mr. United States ass kisser and extreme subsidies.
Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next level genius.
Today, we salute you, Mr. You Shoulda Listened to Your Friends instead of being a fanboy guy.
Mr. Shoulda listened to your friends instead of being a fanboy guy.
I had a lot of friends of mine try to talk me out of starting a rocket company because they thought it was crazy. And one friend of mine made me watch a video of rockets blowing up.
Why didn't you listen?
And there were just lots of people who thought it was a really crazy idea. And there was some people that had
To your imaginary friends.
and they tried to talk me out of it. But the thing is that the premise
like
of
your
talking me out of it was,
imaginary
well, we think
Mars.
you're going to lose the money that you invest. I was like, well, that was my expectation anyway. So I don't really mind if I lose. I mind, but I mean.
Thank you for perpetuating space with your fanboy lies.
Now, believe me, if the evidence was sufficient for me to believe in crazy jets or crazy rockets that go basically 10 times as fast as a speeding bullet, but weigh thousands of times more, carrying human beings inside them, well, then I would believe it. But this is the kind of thing we're given here on the screen as proof of space travel. You are free to believe whatever you want. If you want to believe that R2-D2 is dancing around in the blackness of space on its way to the ISS, feel free. I will not stop you. However, you will not catch me joining you in that belief until I see evidence that proves it as true. I don't think some flimsy films that are always fuzzed over, snowed out. Go to the ISS Live and look at the past videos, and you'll see 9 out of 10 of them are washed over in some purple or magenta. It just simply doesn't make sense. It's 2017, and we still can't get an HD video of the Earth spinning from space. If that makes sense to you, then good for you, so be it. Enjoy it. I wish that I had the same eyes that you did so I could see what you see, because I see something completely different. I see a couple billion people who circumnavigated the Earth east-west, and basically one, a Freemason, a cousin of the Queen, who circumnavigated north-south and took 4 years to do it. Something doesn't seem right about that. I see so many other things that I just can't shake off. I used to be able to, but I can't anymore. They're glaring. When we're told that boats go over the curve, but you can go out and test and see that they do not, that it is because of perspective, it should make you question why you were taught something was true when it is not. Why were we taught water goes down the opposite way in the southern hemisphere versus the northern if it's not true? So these are the many proofs that the globe Earth has held up for hundreds of years. And when you dig deep, you find out they are not quite as proof positive as we were once taught. Jeranism presents Next Level Genius.
Next level genius.
Today, we salute you, Mr. Go to That Red Dot in the Sky guy.
Mr. Go to that red dot in the sky guy.
First of all, it's not that I personally want to go to Mars. It's just that, as I said, I think it's extremely important that life become multiplanetary.
Mars
and so
is
you might say, well,
fake.
why do I think it's important? Aren't there lots of important things going on Earth that should be
Can't get enough of this
addressed?
fake
And
shit.
certainly there are. And it's not. I don't mean that it's
Take
important
your
to exclusion
CGI
of all
images
other
to
things, just that it makes
Toontown.
sense to spend a small amount of our resources on doing this.
SpaceX is fake X.
And the reason it's important is if you go to the nature of importance itself. How do you decide that anything is important? The lens
Hooray
of
for
history is a good
space
way
and all its
to filter,
fakeness.
the really important stuff stays and the less important stuff
I'd
goes
love
away.
to see you sucked in
And
the
let's say you zoom out
vacuum.
really far and look at the entire history of Earth, or history of life itself. What are the important, what are the most
Elon
important
Musk
elements
is
in
not a
the history of
genius.
life itself? Forget about the parochial concerns of humanity. What would any species, any intelligent species say? Oh, those were really important items.
Get your ass to Whoville.
But extending life to another planet is a huge quantum leap. You have to go hundreds of millions of miles across extremely hostile environment.
Tell Spock I said hello when you get to Vulcan.
Completely unlike anything you've evolved to live on. That's just really extremely difficult problem. In fact, I think it's an impossible problem without the advent of consciousness. I do want to go to space, and eventually it would be really cool if I could go to Mars. That would be super awesome.
Thank you, mister, but it's just a red dot in the sky, guy.
So, there certainly is a ton of reasons not to trust what we've been told. Luckily, anything scientific should have a surplus of proof for us to use and to verify what we were taught. But unfortunately, many of us are finding out that's simply not the case.